Joining me to talk about all this and more, Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump. She was the campaign manager in 2016. She's now president of the KA Consulting. She's a Fox News contributor and author of the very good book, Here's the Deal. Kellyanne, welcome back.
Thank you, Larry. Wow, that's fire.
I just, am I wrong? I mean, just tell me. I mean, what's this guy going to do? I don't get it.
You're not wrong. And the theory of the case for Ron DeSantis running for president is being blown up by these polls against Trump in three ways. Number one is electability. I'm the only guy who can win, and I'm the only guy who can beat Biden. That's just not true. He's not winning. And sure, he's beating Biden here or there, but so is Trump. Secondly, he feels like he has an advantage on COVID. He's out there talking about Dr. Fauci and COVID and lockdowns. I can't find very many Republican presidential primary voters in 2024 who want to talk about COVID.
Right.
I know what he's trying to say. He's wrong that he didn't shut down the state. He did shut down the state.
Yes.
His better argument, Larry, is the truthful one, which is I opened up Florida faster than other states. But they had a bad second wave, and because of Florida's weather, COVID was a little bit delayed there. The third theory of the case that was supposed to bolster Ron DeSantis is that he's the guy who he's generational change. People don't seem to want that right now. They don't want Biden there. But I think the whole generational change looks like inexperience. It looks like, what is your national platform, national security, foreign policy? You're right. He's been a good governor of Florida. He's got a lot to bring to the table. But he wasted the last 6 months or so. I don't see yet that he's going to be able to overtake Trump in these polls. Here's the conundrum for Ron DeSantis and everyone else, but him in second place. On the one hand, you have to attack Trump to beat Trump. On the other hand, you have to attract Trump's voters to win.
Right.
And how do you do that? If anything, I think the diehard Trump voters, of which there are millions and millions in the Republican primaries, they're punishing DeSantis for his new attacks on Trump's. Last point. Politics is about the art of what you can't see, not what you can. And I think Trump has a tremendous advantage right now on the winner-take-all states. We had 7 in 2016. We have 17 this time. So the winner gets all of the delegates. Everyone else gets 0. He also has a very good delegate program. Maybe DeSantis does too, but I haven't read about it anywhere. I think he's off to a slow start. He's got a lot of money. Billionaires love him. They gave him money first, met him second, make a ton of excuses for him. They never give a mulligan to the most famous political golfer. But in the case of DeSantis...
You always said the donors are always wrong.
Well, I love the donors, I love the donors. But, Larry, not a penny of the billions they've made in life was earned giving political advice.
No.
And we see that.
That's right. That's a great point. Now, look, I was very miffed, annoyed that his message over Memorial Day weekend was about the woke military, because that's not what you do on the Memorial Day weekend, okay? I mean, that's a very sacred weekend, and particularly conservatives, people who love freedom and democracy, should be revering and praying for those souls who gave their lives to defend this country. I never heard him say that. Maybe I missed it someplace. The other thing that's driving me a little crazy on this, he's attacking Kevin McCarthy and the budget deal. This I do not get. McCarthy is a conservative. He's trying to lead a revolution. We had Newt Gingrich on the other night. One step at a time. This is a big sea change, knocking Biden down and promoting Republican principles. You never get 100% in these deals. Reagan always said, I'll take the 70% and get the 30% later. That's what McCarthy's doing. How in the world can DeSantis be attacking that? And I might add, unfortunately, our friend Mike Pence did the same thing. It's a huge mistake.
It's a huge mistake. Look, this is the best they're going to do with Biden in the White House. And speaking of Biden, he's been totally crowded out. Sure, they had a couple of photo ops. The Speaker McCarthy was waiting to get back and meet with him. But it's McCarthy who's leading this deal. And don't forget, conservatives, we have 1/3 of one chamber in Washington, D.C. We have 1/2, of one chamber in Washington, D.C. We basically have 1/3 of the federal government right now. And he's the one leading the charge. You specified a number of the things that are good about this. We're never going to get everything we want. You can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. But, Larry, the other thing going on here is, do we want to be the ones defaulting? Hakeem Jeffries says he's got the votes for this, too. You don't want Republicans to be the ones defaulting on our debt, especially when so many American households are saying it's the Biden economy that is drowning me. No matter what Hakeem Jeffries says in a press conference, not under oath, 18% of the country, 18% of this country in polls now said that the economy is doing well. Most people feel very economically fraught and afraid and vulnerable. And when they look at Washington, they at least want to see some progress in the right direction. Also, I think McCarthy did a smart thing today with Thomas Massie, along with Chip Roy, the two who endorsed Ron DeSantis for president. Massie came around. I think Norman and Roy didn't yet, but McCarthy having competition for that speakership, going through 15 grueling ballots, has made him that much better of a speaker. I applaud him in his efforts. He's gone up 12 points in his approval rating from January. 12 points.
I know. He's the most popular politician. He has the best net positive
He's doing
rating.
stuff. We see him every day. He's doing stuff.
Have you ever? He's so accessible to the media.
Yes.
Isn't that fascinating? You know, in the hallways, he's not protected. He sees media, he stops, and he talks to them.
Yes.
And he's messaging. I mean, he's messaging on the budget. He's messaging on the reforms. He's messaging on economic growth. I mean, I think Mr. DeSantis should be taking notes for McCarthy's press opportunities because McCarthy's showing him how to do it.
Ironically, Governor DeSantis doesn't even seem to be yet talking about the economy in Florida, which I think is one of his best arguments. He's still stuck on COVID and the woke stuff. You and I have talked about it here. This weekend, it was the military. Unfortunate for anyone to do that, but really unfortunate for somebody who was in uniform. Of course, he knows better. He felt that way, I'm sure, in uniform, knowing what the beauty and the legacy of Memorial Day is. But Larry, the woke stuff gets taken too far, too, when you don't explain it. I've been a big critic of Republicans who don't, quote, finish their sentences. Don't assume people know the beginning of your paragraph. If you're just blaming woke, he did the same thing. He had a tour with the police officers in 3 different states 2 months ago. I came on your show to talk about it. And he told them the reason that you don't have police officers joining the ranks or not retiring early is because of woke policies. That may be true, but how about the defunding the police? How about people spitting on the police? How about our beautiful cities being decimated where the violent criminals are running the place? I mean, all of that is important, too. So I think he has to go back to just even basic key Republican messaging. And, you know, for our former boss, President Trump, he's got this lead in part because people want somebody to do a big job who's already done the job and to look past a lot. He knows how I feel. More insights, fewer insults are always in order.
But he's on
message. These
a
Trump
lot of
47
stuff.
These Agenda 47 agenda videos are excellent.
Yes.
He's talking about his first term accomplishments, so that that's the theory of his case. Not I did it in one state, I did it for the entire nation.
I'm texting him on these economic issues, and he's texting back on it.
I love getting texts from Donald Trump.
I know,
funny.
it's fantastic, but I'm just saying, he's on message.
He's on message.
And you're the one who said this is going to be a kitchen table election.
Of course. No,
it's not going to be about woke. Woke's there. The border's there, Ukraine, but fundamentally, it's going to be about the economy.
It's the economy, and Biden cannot recover from that. He's always going to seem 80 years old, and he's always going to seem like the guy who screwed up the economy. People need to know this economy right now is a man-made crisis. It's not Putin's fault. It's not COVID's fault. It's Biden, Harris, and radical policy's fault. That's the best message, Larry. Joe Biden is the president. I own the prize. We got to get him out of there. The guy who currently has the job has no competence, has no agility, has no ability, has no energy, doesn't deserve to be president. I'm not even sure why he wants to be there when 2/3 of Democrats don't want you there, Biden.
Yes, ma'am. That's all I'll say. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I'm buying you dinner later. It's going to be great fun. Kellyanne Conway, the best of the best.